I'm no lady here. Don't you forget it. I'm your teacher, and you're better. Hope Jensen, March 1752. Hello, I'm Andrew, and I want to welcome you to Visions of the Past, a podcast all about the lore of Assassin's Creed. This is episode 90, and today we're going to talk about the only female assassin within Assassin's Creed Rogue, Hope Jensen. Hope is one of those characters that have only appeared once within Assassin's Creed, and that was within Assassin's Creed Rogue, where she is voiced by Patricia Somerset, who went on to also voice Galina Voronina within Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Born in 1732 to a modest family in New York, Hope's parents died when she was very young, and after spending a little time in an orphanage, she was adopted by a German couple looking to build a new life for themselves within the colonies, and symbolized this by giving her the name Hope. While it took several years, the family eventually did grow wealthy and started to spend time in New York's finer circles, even though they were never truly accepted by the city's elite. Within this wealth came private tutors and Hope's realization that the world was an unfair one. One such instance of this happened in 1742, when her adopted father disappeared under mysterious circumstances, never to be seen again. And by the end of that year, her father's former business partners took control of the Jensen's family business, leaving Hope and her adopted mother with nothing, forcing them to live destitute in the streets. During this time, Hope's adopted mother fell ill and slowly deteriorated, even with Hope's best efforts in stealing food and medicine. And once her mother did pass away, Hope vowed to never depend on anyone again. After 4 years in the streets, Hope met Achilles Davenport in 1746, who was impressed by her survival instincts, pickpocketing skills, and her strength of will, so much so that she was inducted into the colonial Brotherhood of Assassins a year later in 1747. Achilles tasked her with setting up a network within New York, and it wasn't long, and Hope controlled the city's gangs and a sizable mansion within the city that served as her base of operations. Over the next 7 years, Hope also served as one of Shay Cormac's instructors, teaching him an assassination and stealth, though he was consistently late and lacked discipline, which she felt kept him from reaching his full potential. In March 1752, the Colonial Brotherhood received news from Adewale that the Templar Order stole 2 pieces of Eden during the earthquake that hit Port-au-Prince, Haiti, in 1751. During the hunt for these artifacts, Hope found that the Templars had talked to many of New York's intelligentsia, highly educated people within the city, trying to figure out the purpose of what they stole, though she was unable to find out where the artifacts were. That information did come, though, when Shay traveled to Mount Vernon to assassinate Templar Lawrence Washington in July 1752. During this assassination, Shay found that Washington charged the artifacts, a precursor box, and the Von Itch manuscript, to Samuel Smith and James Wardrop. The box was recovered after Shay assassinated Samuel Smith in May 1754, but the manuscript and Wardrop were still lost to the assassins. Hope did find out that he would be at the Congress in Albany, New York, that was to be held in June 1754. After Shay assassinated Wardrop, Hope and Shay took the pair of artifacts to Benjamin Franklin in Sleepy Hollow. Presenting the artifacts to Franklin under the guise of being associates of William Johnson, the pair found that Franklin couldn't do the experiments because his lightning rods had been confiscated by the British Army. While Shay went to retrieve the lightning rods, Hope helped Franklin set up the experiment, and when Shay returned with the rods, the experiment commenced. The experiment itself consisted of using the lightning rods to channel an ongoing storm to direct electricity directly into the precursor box. After 3 lightning strikes, the box activated, projecting a map with several precursor sites indicated on it. The trio didn't have long to look at the projection, though, as the army was coming to reconfiscate the lightning rods. And while Shay escaped, Hope stayed with Franklin, posing as his housekeeper. After leaving Sleepy Hollow, Hope traveled to the Assassin Bureau in Two Bends, Virginia, where she met up with Shay and the assassin mentor Achilles. And here they discussed all the information that Hope and Shay learned from the experiment with Franklin. During this meeting, Shay admitted that he knew of one of the locations, without a doubt, being Lisbon, Portugal. With little time to find the temple and what was inside it, Achilles tasked Shay with going to Lisbon and retrieve whatever he finds. Unfortunately for Shay, the ship that he had normally captained around the North Atlantic wasn't fit for crossing the Atlantic Ocean. So while Shay was away, Hope kept the ship safely in New York. When Shay returned and gave his report of what happened in Lisbon, Achilles stated that he must have done something wrong, and an argument ensued, with Hope siding with Achilles, not only defending against Shay's accusations, but even physically forced him out of the room. This refusal to listen to Shay led him to steal the manuscript, resulting in the other assassins trying to stop him from leaving. Hope in particular threw smoke bombs at him while questioning his reasoning. Cornering him at a cliff, Hope tried to convince Shay to return the manuscript, though he didn't, and prepared to walk off the cliff. Chevalier attempted to stop him by shooting him in the back, but all it accomplished was plunging Shay into the bay and being carried out with the tide. After what happened with Shay, Hope continued to work with Franklin, having him produce equipment that could be used with the assassin's stores of poison gas, which Le Chachet supplied. Shay, who survived his fall, worked over the next few years to not only destroy the gas, but to weaken the presence of Hope's gangs. By October 1759, Hope had figured out how to activate the precursor box, after the assassins had stolen the manuscript back from the Templars 2 years earlier. Performing this experiment in a warehouse behind her mansion, she managed to activate the box and pass the location of a temple on to Liam O'Brien. After passing the information on, she shot out the skylight of the warehouse, causing a snooping Shay to fall to the floor. Hope then took his gas mask, drank an antidote, and activated a switch, causing toxic gas to fill the room, leaving Shay in the warehouse for dead. Outside the warehouse, though, she quickly found that Shay had not died within the warehouse. Throwing a poison dart at him, she ran, trying to escape his pursuit, even throwing smoke bombs trying to deter him. Unfortunately for Hope, Shay did catch up to her, stabbing her with his hidden blade and taking an antidote that she had on her. Even though Shay expressed remorse at killing her, Hope told him that it was what she had trained him to do and expected nothing less, and that it was all meant to be a diversion to give the assassins more time to find the precursor temple. As much as I liked Hope, there are issues that I have with her, but they really boil down to issues that I have with Assassin's Creed Rogue. The first thing I want to talk about is something that ties into the map of the River Valley. The game sends Hope and Shay into two bends after a mission in Sleepy Hollow. While they're on the same map, two bends is in Virginia and Sleepy Hollow is in New York. Wouldn't it make more sense to have this scene at the homestead in Massachusetts? It just seems strange to me to have Achilles in Virginia without a story reason. Just feels more logical that he'd be at home. My issue with this isn't just story, it's the way the river map is designed. It's all over the place, and while I understand it can be explained away by animus trickery, it's just something that has never really sat with me right. The other issue that I have is the way the assassins are portrayed in general. I understand it's meant to put the Templars in a sympathetic light, but it feels wrong for the assassins to plan to use gas on a civilian population. And I know we see things like this before, like Ezio causing a riot in Constantinople and its destruction of the underground city in Cappadocia. I just feel like they use this Brotherhood as a corruption just so you feel more interested in being a Templar and using that side of the same coin that the Assassins and Templars joined together. I felt like that story could have been told in different ways without painting the Assassins in such disastrous ways for the city population. Other than that, though, I really did enjoy Hope as a character. She was assertive and strong and the kind of woman that you would want in Assassin's Creed games. She knows who she is, she knows what she's fighting for, and she is, even though her brotherhood is corrupt, a model assassin. But what do you think about Hope? Let me know over on Twitter at visions_AC. And thank you for joining me today. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for new episodes. If you love stories about Assassin's Creed lore, please tell your friends and follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platform. And if you want to support this podcast and help provide for new episodes, I'd love for you to buy me a cup of coffee at bit.ly/visionscoffee. If you have any questions about Assassin's Creed or topics that you'd like me to cover, please feel free to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at visions_AC, or you can check out my brand new TikTok at Visions of the Past Podcast, and you can find those links in the show notes below. Until next time, my assassin friends, make sure to follow the creed, and to those Templars listening, may the Father of Understanding guide you.